Terrible things happen to characters from the Metal Gear Solid series. Ever since the early games, like amputation and lost limbs has been sort of a theme. I'm wondering if that's always been something you've wanted to come back to, and now that Phantom Pain's coming out and Big Boss has lost his arm, is this something you've always had planned to come back to?
Well, as you can tell from the title, The Phantom Pain, I want to kind of depict you come back from war. Even if you make it back, you won't be able to make it back unscratched. You might be injured, you might lose a limb, you might lose a friend, a superior, someone that fought next to you, you might have lost it. So even if you come back, there's some pain with it. I try to depict this in my games. One way to represent this was, well, in this case, by losing limbs, by the characters losing limbs. So that's something that I did want to put in the games. I
apologize if this gets really nerdy and nitpicky and stuff, but in Metal Gear Solid, Liquid Snake tells Solid that the L'Enfance Terrible program started in the early 70s, and then it was when Big Boss was in a coma. And we see that Big Boss is in a coma between Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain, but at the end of Peace Walker, Miller tells him that it already happened. I'm wondering if you could sort of clear that up, how many comas was he in, or, was this two separate incidents that he was, asleep and they started this?
Well, there's only once he's in a coma, and well, to explain that, you'll need to play towards the end of the Phantom Pain. It will all come together. You'll be like, oh, that's what happened.
Well, then maybe I'll ask you something more geared towards what I saw in Ground Zeroes. Well, actually, maybe could you just explain a little bit about the XOF unit? Because they're working sort of with the US, but they seem like they're detached. It seems like what I overheard the soldiers saying, the Marines, it seems like they don't really know what XOF is all about. And I was wondering if you could sort of clarify what this unit is.
As you correctly mentioned, there are Marines there in the base. They're not necessarily working together. XOF was just a troop that was put there because of the superiors, a superior command that came from them. So they are working with them, but they're not the same entity. Skullface comes there with XOF. Him and his guys are doing these tortures and whatnot. But the guys that are originally in the base are regular Marines, just doing Marine duties. Ideally, Snake would only go there and wouldn't shoot the Marines. He would just put them to sleep because the bad guys are only the XOF guys.
I shot a lot of Marines when I played, so I'm not a...
You can also put them to sleep and throw them away from the cliff. That's also another thing that you can do. I did that.
I threw a lot of guys in the water. So speaking a little bit more to the Phantom Pain story, I'm wondering if players can look forward to seeing some of like the formation of the Patriots, because it seems like they're fully formed by this point, and if you're planning to sort of flesh that out through flashbacks or go more into that important part of the series' legacy.
That's a part that we can't disclose yet. I guess the only thing that I can say is that there's Skullface, there's Major Zero. The relationship between them will be portrayed.
But we will learn more about Zero and his relationship with Big Boss in Phantom Pain. That'll play a big role in the game.
Yeah, it will be portrayed.
Great.
That's not the main part. Well, I'm trying not to spoil the story.
Understandable. Do you consider the Phantom Pain and Big Boss's story, do you feel like this game is going to sort of fill in the gaps between Big Boss's story and Solid Snake's story? Is it sort of completing kind of the loop?
Please don't look at me at the eyes because I'm so tempted to tell you and I shouldn't. I really shouldn't. But yeah, I guess all I can say is that in a very specific way for the games, we'll put things together.
I understand that between Ground Zeroes and the Phantom Pain, on a gameplay side, that the Phantom Pain is much, much larger than Ground Zeroes. Are there any other core gameplay differences that people can expect between these two games?
So basically, the basic controls, the core controls won't change. There will be more things that you'll be able to do, but how the game feels might change a little bit. What do I mean by this? Ground Zeroes takes place in a small island, and funny when you think of it, you're in an enemy base. Every step you take, you face the risk of finding an enemy. The Phantom Pain will be a map that is roughly 200 times bigger than Ground Zeroes. It will have bases, it will have forests, it will have paths between this, we'll have fortresses, out of these things. So there are a lot of places that don't have that many enemies. The player won't have that constant stress. He will be able to control when he goes into stressful situations, places, and when not to, there will be a little bit of more controlled balance for this. So, for example, in Ground Zeroes, you're in an enemy base. Per the design of the game, you cannot go outside the base. You cannot just run away from the base. But for TPP, well, you can go into an enemy base. They will chase you, but you can choose to go outside the base. The user will have this choice of we're having constantly all this stress or walk away from it. Also, in this game, well, you don't have full turn. You can rescue hostages. In the Phantom Pain, you will have these hostages. You will be able to rescue scientists, whatnot. They will be transported to the base. While you're not there, the base will grow bigger. It will have some more gaming elements.
Are you playing something that's sort of an evolution of how you expanded Mother Base in Peace Walker?
Yeah, it will be an evolution of that. You will be able to go into the base, walk around your own base that you created. You will be able also to walk into your friends' bases, see their facilities, etc.
In addition to throwing enemies off cliffs, I really like kidnapping them with balloons, but I'll probably have to settle for putting them in a helicopter. Is that right?
Actually, for the Phantom Pain, you will be able to use Fulton. We couldn't put this in Ground Zeroes because of the setting. It wouldn't make sense for you to be able to use Fulton within an enemy base. So, well, Snake will have the option to go constantly missions without going back to his base, or return every once in a while in a helicopter and see what's up. But in the base, when you go back to the base, there will be several events, so it might be interesting to go back to check back to the base every once in a while.
Well, thank you for bringing the Fulton system back, because I'm going to kidnap everybody in the entire game. I know that you're a big fan of Assassin's Creed and other open world stealth games. I was wondering what lessons you've learned playing other open world stealth games that you want to sort of inject into the Phantom Pain.
Yeah, well, recently, due to a lack of time, mostly, I haven't been able to play that many games. I do try to watch people playing them. I want to play GTA badly, but I haven't found the time. With that in mind, we're calling MGS5 an open world game. That's the way we're creating it, the way we're putting it out. But ideally, I want to create a game that even people like me that don't have too much time to sit down and play the game for a long time can play through it. There will be long missions, there will be rather short missions. It will be kind of episodic, like chapters for a TV series. When you have time, you play these chapters. When you have time, you develop your Mother Base. Eventually, your character starts developing. And when you put it all together, it creates a huge story. That's the way I'm trying to create this.
Thanks for taking the time to talk.
本当ありがとうございます。そしてこの時間を割いていただいて本当にありがとうございます。